All right, what's happening, everybody? Thursday night football, Bills and Dolphins just concluded. Bills stomp the Dolphins 31 to 10. Biggest news of the evening is Tua suffers another concussion, a very scary one. Prayers out to him and his family. Thankfully, he got off the field under his own power, went straight to the locker room, was ruled out, and now you guys have a huge question mark on the rest of your season and moving forward. Tua just signed that huge deal, and there has been some issues with him suffering concussions over the past few years, and we'll have to wait for more to come out. But this really puts not only a damper on your season, but possibly the future of Tua. So hopefully he's going to be okay and makes a full recovery because, whether or not you like Tua, you never want to see a guy have a career ending injury, especially a head injury. It's very scary. So, prayers out to him. Hope he gets better. But moving past that, we've got to dive in. This Dolphins team, I mean, you come in on a prove it game, Thursday night football against your big brother, the team that's just been kicking your shit in for the past 4 years. And tonight, you're 1-0, both teams. You come off of a good emotional victory in Jacksonville, hitting a game winning field goal. And this was kind of your prove it game. Like, all right, is it different this year? The Bills, they might be struggling a little bit. They lost a lot of key veteran players. They might be in fluctuation of whether or not they're going to be dominant like they have been in the past few years. Dolphins are building on some steam that you've seen over the past couple of years. They make it to the playoffs and they get bounced in the first round, but they've been getting better and they usually start fast. And they came out and laid an egg. Even before Tua got injured, this game was over early. And you could tell these players on the Dolphins, they just looked like they have no interest in playing physical football. They kind of looked hung over and slow, and the Bills exposed them. It feels like it raises a culture question with the Miami Dolphins. There's a lot of distractions out in Miami. You have an incredibly talented team, but you just wonder, sometimes teams take on the identity as their coach. You see it with the Lions, with the Ravens, now with the Chargers. Nothing is better in football than a physical presence. We witnessed it with the Lions in overtime, running the ball down the Rams' throat in overtime the entire drive to get the W. And you don't see that from the Dolphins. And speed and elusiveness and big plays and excitement is all fun through the first portion of the season. But when you start to get towards the later parts of the year, when you're playing in cold weather and it sucks being out there and it hurts to tackle, when you're not that team that loves to grind for 60 full minutes, you rarely see those teams make it far in the playoffs. And that's been the issue with the Dolphins over the past few years. We've questioned their physicality. When it comes down to a gritty game, do they have the nards to tough it out and pull out a close victory? We haven't seen it, and we didn't even get there tonight. 31 to 10, Tua throws 3 picks, one's a pick 6. And their defense looked like they had no interest in tackling James Cook or Josh Allen. And if you're a Dolphins fan, I don't know what you think now. I mean, Tua's probably going to be out for a while. You bring in Skylar Thompson, which I can't believe he's still your backup. I mean, he hasn't shown anything too exciting over the past few years. And it's kind of surprising when you have a team that is set up as good as the Dolphins and you have a quarterback who's kind of injury prone. You would think that you'd invest a little bit into having a decent backup quarterback to get you a couple games. So if Tua misses 3, maybe you go 2-1 and you don't eliminate yourself. It's like the Bills. If Josh Allen were to get hurt, you're popping in Mitchell Trubisky. So if Josh Allen loses 3 games, and the Bills are even more reliant on Josh Allen than the Dolphins are on Tua. I mean, they'd go 0-3 if they had to start him for 3 games. And it kind of seems like that's what's going to happen to the Dolphins. A good thing for the Bills, I would say tonight was the first night that they blew a team out that I've seen where it wasn't strictly on Josh Allen's shoulders. This team, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that is more reliant on their quarterback than the Bills. They're constantly running him. He's making every possible play. He's dropping back 40 times to throw it, has another 15 rushes, takes a lot of hits. And, that's a huge X factor to have on your team. But you just wonder the durability. We've seen it over the years with players like Cam Newton, Big Ben, these big physical specimens, they're dominant during their prime, but then they just hit this wall and they drop off because they've taken so many hits. Even with the rules that protect the quarterback nowadays, when you play such a physical brand of football as a quarterback, it's tough to let your body hold up into the 30s and especially late 30s. And so it was encouraging if you're a Bills fan to see, okay, we didn't really air it out. James Cook looked great. And probably your biggest weapon at receiver, Keon Coleman, didn't even have a catch. So a lot to like from the Bills here offensively. You want to see them kind of pivot off of Josh Allen because there's no doubt in my mind when it comes to the playoffs, you ride him. You do whatever you can to win that game, and that's probably going to be on the back of number 17. But during the regular season, there's no need to expose him to so many hits to where he could degrade over the year. The defense on the Bills, for as many players as they lost, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Matt Milano with injury, Tre'Davious White is on the Rams, and then they lose, I believe it was Terrell Bernard, their linebacker. I can't remember his name exactly, but they lose him during the game, and he had a stud of a year last year. It feels like this Bills defense over the past few years, nobody has had more injuries than them. And what you saw tonight against a crazy, fast, and explosive Dolphins team, they kept everything in front of them. They played a physical brand of football. And a great sign for you guys is Von Miller. Seems like he's kind of got his mojo back. You saw him with that nasty spin move off of their right tackle. And then on the other side, you got Gregory Rousseau, first-round pick a couple years ago. Had 3 sacks last week. And if you can get some development out of those two edge rushers, because you've got Ed Oliver inside, as well as Daquan Jones, that front four is pretty nasty. So you like what you see from the young guys in the secondary. Maybe Kaiir Elam can take the next step. But if I'm a Bills fan, I'm encouraged with this win. Because the injury to Tua, it's not like he got injured in the first quarter. It was never a game. He was in for most of the game, and they made him look silly. It seemed like Mike McDaniel didn't know what was going on, and it seemed like they didn't have any interest in figuring out what was going on. And it poses the question of if the Dolphins sputter out this year, which if Tua's not in there, I can't see how they would make the playoffs. I would argue with how the Patriots looked last week in their defense, why couldn't the Dolphins finish in last place if they don't have their star quarterback playing? And that brings you to the question of Mike McDaniels. Is he the right coach for that team? Because there's no doubting that he's a mastermind play caller. The team loves him. But you see it, with the Patriots, obviously, and with the Seahawks. They both got rid of their coaches. Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick, granted, are on a different level than Mike McDaniel. But sometimes things need to change. And it's only week 2. Things could turn around. Tua could come back. They got 10 days off. He could clear concussion protocol, and they go on a run because they're only 1-1. It's not like they're 0-6 or 1-5. There's still a ton of season left. It would bother me if I was a Dolphins fan and you can't get past the Bills year in and year out. I don't know what it is. Obviously the Bills are a very good football team and they have, Josh Allen, who's the second best quarterback in the league on their team. But sometimes it's not even about Josh Allen and their offense. It's just that they can't match the intensity of the game. They seem to not be able to show up in big spots. And with the Bengals kind of displaying a lack of coaching and preparedness against the Patriots, you kind of felt like that tonight with Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. I think another thing that goes unsaid because the Bills have been bounced in the playoffs the past few years, it seems like in the regular season and in the playoffs, they almost always show up to big games. Like they're a big game team, and Josh Allen is a big game player. You see them struggle the most in the games where it's like, you should win this game really easily. And they keep it close. But that level of focus is raised when they know that they're going to be in a battle. And, tonight was another example of that. Not only was this a big game for the Dolphins, this is a division game that could have serious implications for the playoffs. And the Bills just came out and said, yeah, we're more physical than you, we're tougher than you, and we're going to beat the hell out of you for 4 quarters. And they did just that. I would say the only blemish on the Bills tonight was that field goal by Tyler Bass, who's usually money. I know you don't need to put much stock into this. It's just kind of a funny tad. It's like, that was maybe the worst field goal I've ever seen. I mean, he yanked that thing. I mean, it looked like a foul ball in baseball. Line drive. Just kind of funny. But yeah, I would say if I were you as a Bills fan, I'm excited for the future of this year. 2-0. You've grinded out a couple good wins, one being a close game, one being a physical beatdown against a division rival. And if the Dolphins, if I'm you guys, there's a serious question mark on your franchise right now and where it stands for the rest of the year and then moving forward. Outside of that, that's about all I got for you guys tonight. Not really much to talk about in this game, honestly. I wouldn't say it's boring. No football game is boring, but definitely not the hype that I thought it was going to live up to being a Thursday night game between two division rivals that have been battling for the top spot over the past few years. But still, it's football, and we'll take it any way we can get it. Tomorrow, I'm going to be popping out a video on the Week 2 preview of the upcoming games, some things to look out for, and some predictions. So tune into that. Like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought of the game. And look forward to getting on here and talking with you guys tomorrow. See you later.